Hi guys, welcome back to Dadlicious Eats, and today we're going to be making Korean kimbap. This is basically the Korean version of Japanese sushi, and it's so easy to make. Right, let's get to it. So first of all, I'm using Korean rice. This is like a sushi rice. You need a short grain rice. It won't work with long grain. To season that, we're going to use a teaspoon of salt and some sesame oil. We're going to be making a tuna version of the kimbap today, so we're going to start off with some canned tuna. We're also going to use some seafood sticks or crab sticks. We're going to use a carrot and we're going to slice that up, as we will with a cucumber. For the tuna, we're going to mix it with some mayonnaise. We're also going to use tamuji, which is a Korean radish, the all-important seaweed, and finally sesame seeds. So to make the kimbap itself, it's super easy. It probably takes about a minute, but most of the time actually is going to be spent preparing the vegetables. So we're going to slice these into long thin strips. You want them roughly the length or width of the seaweed. You also want them probably about ½ centimetre thick. There we go. So we've got the carrots. We're going to do exactly the same with the cucumber. A good tip is to take the cucumber, put it next to the seaweed and measure it, and then cut it the same length as that. Makes it super easy. Hopefully you're already a subscriber, but if you're not already a subscriber, why not give it a try? I've got tons of great videos that I want to share with you, tons of tips and tricks. And I'd absolutely love it if you were to follow me. Also, it would really help me out if you were to like the video or leave a comment, and I'll certainly get back to you. So moving on from the carrots and the cucumbers, we're going to cut the seafood sticks in half. Now the joy of this is that you can use pretty much anything that you want. So if you don't want seafood sticks, or if you don't want carrot, leave them out, or add other vegetables in, or other forms of meat. So for the tuna filling, all we're going to really do is dump the tuna in a bowl and add some mayonnaise in. And we're just going to give that a really good mix around. I absolutely love making kimbap. It's super healthy, it's super easy. You can tailor the items as you want, and our children absolutely demolish these. So once the tuna has been mixed up, you've got that, you've got the seafood sticks, you've got the carrot, and then you've got the cucumber. So one last ingredient that we're going to add in is the tamuji. So this is a Korean radish. It's basically a pickled radish made from mu or daikon radish, hence why it's yellow in colour because of the pickling. It's got a nice crunch to it that I think adds something into the kimbap. It's also got a nice sweet flavour as well, so generally the children love to eat this. I think this is a really important ingredient, but it's not particularly easy to find. You probably need to go to an Asian supermarket to get hold of it, so don't worry if you need to leave it out. So moving on to the rice, which normally I'd actually do before I've prepared the vegetables. But you basically want to take your rice, pop it into a rice cooker, and you want to wash it. And you wash this to get rid of some of the starch in the rice. So you can see here the water is a little bit cloudy, so that's the starch within the rice. Repeat that 2, 3, 4 times until the water starts to turn a little bit clear. If you do forget to do this, it's no big deal. So to cook this, we want to make sure there's enough water in. Generally, I will put enough water to cover the fingertip of my forefinger, and we're going to pop that into the rice cooker. That takes about 20 to 25 minutes. Once that's ready, we're going to pop it into a bowl. Now you've got to be careful because it's going to be piping hot rice at this stage. But what we don't do is pop this straight onto the kimbap because it's just plain rice at the moment. We want to make sure that we season the rice to give it that extra bit of flavour. So we're going to add in the teaspoon of salt to that, and then a good drizzle of sesame oil as well. Give that a really good mix. So this seems to be the thing that sushi chefs train for absolute years to do. I don't really understand necessarily. Maybe I'm not educated enough to understand the intricacies of it, but I think this makes perfectly good sushi rice as it is. So once that's mixed really well through, just leave it aside for probably 2 or 3 minutes just to reduce the temperature a little bit of the rice as you're going to touch it. So to construct the kimbap itself, I tend to use a sushi mat, not 100% essential, but it'll make your life an awful lot easier. And then we're going to pop on one of the pieces of seaweed, and then we're going to start adding the rice. So you probably want to take a couple of really big spoonfuls here, and what we're going to do is really start to squash that down on the rice. You want a very, very thin layer, almost, as you can see here, we should still be able to see almost the back of the seaweed. So give that a really good press down. You don't need it 100% covered. In fact, it's probably best if the top and the bottom edges aren't completely covered, because it will help seal the kimbap roll. And then at one end, we're going to start constructing it. So pop on the tamuji, the radish, then the cucumber next to it, and then the carrot. So on top of that, we're going to pop on the seafood stick. It doesn't matter if parts poke out at the end, it's completely fine. And then we're going to add on the tuna mix. As I've said a couple of times, if you don't like tuna, leave it out. If you don't like fish, leave this out, leave the seafood stick out. If you just want to have carrot and cucumber, then that's completely fine. My son, for example, will demolish it just with probably carrot and cucumber in it. And then we move on to the slightly nerve-wracking part, maybe, for some, if you've not done it before, but it's rolling up the kimbap roll. So this is where the sushi mat really helps, because it helps you to get some purchase onto the kimbap itself. And you just roll that gently. Make sure you're pushing down, pressing down nicely, putting some force in there so that it sticks together. And once you get to the end, give it a final good squeeze. And we're going to unveil this, and there we have a perfectly rolled kimbap. As you can see, it's all stuck together nicely, it's not unfurling, it's ready for you to cut. So you want to make sure you've got a really sharp knife for this. Now I always spread a little bit of sesame oil on. I find that the sesame oil actually helps the knife to glide through the kimbap itself. And I'll also just pop on some sesame seeds for a little bit of crunch and presentation as well. So we want to take our knife, and you want to cut them probably into about 1 to 1.5 centimeter wide pieces. So you basically want a good piece that will fit in your mouth. You don't want to be taking a bite out of it halfway through. And work your way across, and that'll give 8 to 10 pieces typically there. And there we go. Perfect. You can see perfectly rolled there. So now we're going to pop them onto a plate, and we're going to move on and make a few more. As you can see, that took no more than a minute to construct the kimbap itself. It's super easy once you've prepared all the vegetables, and it's just a case of repeating the process again and again. So for a family of 5, because there are 2 adults, 3 children, I'll typically make probably about 6 to 7 rolls of kimbap. The great thing about these is that they're super easy to transport and keep, so either have them for lunch, take them to work, take them out on a picnic, dead easy. Right, that's it for this video. Thank you if you've made it all the way to the end for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I'll be back with some more great recipes, but until next time, take care.